Namaste, Dandava Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Canto 3, the Status Quo, Chapter 2, Text 7. Uddhava Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Uddhava Uvacha Kṛṣṇa Dhumani Nimloche Girnesh Vajagarenaha Kimnunaha Kushalam Brahm Gatashrishu Griheshvaham. Sri Uddhava said, "My dear Vidura, the sun of the world, Lord Kṛṣṇa, has set, and our house has now been swallowed by the great snake of time. What can I say to you about our welfare?" Purport. The disappearance of Kṛṣṇa, of the Kṛṣṇa sun, may be explained as follows. According to the commentary of Srila Visvanath Chakravarti Thakur, Vidura was struck with great sorrow when he got the hint of the annihilation of the great Yadu dynasty, as well as of his own family, the Kuru dynasty. Uddhava could understand the grief of Vidura, and therefore he first of all wanted to sympathize with him by saying that after the sunset, everyone is in darkness. Since the entire world was merged in the darkness of grief, neither Vidura nor Uddhava nor anyone else could be happy. Uddhava was as much aggrieved as Vidura, and therefore there was nothing further to be said about their welfare. The comparison of Kṛṣṇa to the sun is very appropriate. As soon as the sun sets, darkness automatically appears, but the darkness experienced by the common man does not affect the sun itself, neither at the time of sunrise or of sunset. Lord Kṛṣṇa's appearance and disappearance are exactly like that of the sun. He appears and disappears in innumerable universes, and as long as he is present in a particular universe, there is all transcendental light in that universe. But the universe from which he passes away is put into darkness. His pastimes, however, are everlasting. The Lord is always present in some universe, just as the sun is present in either the eastern or western hemisphere. The sun is always present either in India or in America, but when the sun is present in India, the American land is in darkness. And when the sun is present in America, the Indian hemisphere is in darkness. As the sun appears in the morning and gradually rises to the meridian and then again sets in one hemisphere while simultaneously rising in another, so Lord Kṛṣṇa's disappearance in one universe and the beginning of his different pastime in another take place simultaneously. As soon as one pastime is finished here, it is manifested in another universe, and thus his Nitya Lila, or eternal pastimes, are going on without ending. As the sunrise takes place once in 24 hours, similarly the pastimes of Lord Kṛṣṇa take place in a universe once in a day of Brahma, the account of which is given in Bhagavad Gita as 4,300,000,000 solar years. But wherever the Lord is present, all his different pastimes are described in the revealed scriptures. His pastimes are taking place at regular intervals. As the sun sets, the snakes become powerful, thieves are encouraged, ghosts become active, and the lotus becomes disfigured, and the Chakravaki laments. So with the disappearance of Lord Kṛṣṇa, the atheists feel enlivened and the devotees become sorry. Text 8. Bhagavata lokoyam yadhavo nitaram api yesam vashanto navidur Aremina Evodupam. This universe with all its planets is most unfortunate. And even more unfortunate are the members of the Yadu dynasty, because they could not identify Lord Hari as the personality of Godhead, any more than the fish could identify the moon. Dandavat Pranam Vishwambar Prabhu.
Dandavat Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
The purport. Uddhava lamented for the unfortunate persons of the world who could not recognize Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa in spite of seeing all his transcendental godly qualities. From the very beginning of his appearance within the prison bars of King Kamsa up to his Masaula Lila, although he exhibited his potencies as the personality of Godhead in 6 opulences of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, the foolish persons of the world could not understand that he was the Supreme Lord. Foolish persons might have thought him an extraordinary historic figure because they had no intimate touch with the Lord. But more unfortunate were the family members of the Lord, the members of the Yadu dynasty, who were always in company with the Lord, but were unable to recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uddhava lamented his own fortune because although he knew Kṛṣṇa to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could not properly use the opportunity to render devotional service to the Lord. He regretted everyone's misfortune, including his own. The pure devotee of the Lord thinks himself most unfortunate. That is due to excessive love for the Lord, and is one of the transcendental perceptions of viraha, the suffering of separation. Viraha, the suffering of separation. It is learned from the revealed scriptures that the moon was born from the milk ocean. There is a milk ocean in the upper planets, and Lord Vishnu, who controls the heart of every living being, is Paramatma, the Supersoul, who resides as Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Those who do not believe in the existence of the ocean of milk because they have experience only of the salty water in the ocean should know that the world is also called the go, which means the cow. The urine of a cow is salty, and according to the Ayurvedic medicine, the cow's urine is very effective in treating patients suffering from liver trouble. Such patients may not have any experience of the cow's milk because milk is never given to liver patients. But the liver patient may know that the cow has milk also, although he has never tasted it. Similarly, men who have experience only of this tiny planet where the saltwater ocean exists may take information from the revealed scriptures that there is also an ocean of milk, although we have never seen it. From this ocean of milk, the moon was born, but the fish in the milk ocean could not recognize that the moon was not another fish and was different from them. The fish took the moon to be one of them, or maybe something illuminating, but nothing more. The unfortunate persons who do not recognize Lord Kṛṣṇa are like such fish. They take him to be one of them, although a little extraordinary in opulence, strength, etc. Bhagavad Gita 9.11 confirms such foolish persons to be most unfortunate. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanum ashratam. Text 9. In Gita Gya Puru Praudha Ekaramascha Satvata Satvatam Rishabham Sarve Bhutavasam Amham Sata. The Yadus were all experienced devotees, learned and expert in psychic study. Over and above this, they were always with the Lord in all kinds of relaxations, and still they were only able to know him as the one supreme who dwells everywhere. Purport. In the Vedas, it is said that the Supreme Lord, or Paramatma, cannot be understood simply by the strength of one's erudition or power of mental speculation. Nayam Atma Prava. He can be known only by one who has the mercy of the Lord. The Yadavas were all exceptionally learned and experienced, but in spite of their knowing the Lord as the one who lives in everyone's heart, they could not understand that he is the original personality of Godhead. This lack of knowledge was not due to their insufficient erudition, it was due to their misfortune. In Vrindavan, however, the Lord was not even known as Paramatma because the residents of Vrindavan were pure, unconventional devotees of the Lord and could think of him only as their object of love. They did not know that he is the personality of Godhead. The Yadus, or the residents of Dwarka, however, could know Lord Kṛṣṇa as Vasudeva, or the super soul living everywhere, but not as the Supreme Lord. As scholars of the Vedas, they verified the Vedic hymns, Eko Devas Sarva Bhuta Divasha, Antaryami, and Vrishninam Paradevata. The Yadus therefore accepted Lord Kṛṣṇa as the super soul, incarnated in their family, and not more than that. Text 10. Devasya maya yasprishta yechanyad asad ashrita brahmyate dhir natad vakyar atman yukto manoharo. Under no circumstances can the words of persons bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord deviate the intelligence of those who are completely surrendered souls. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, according to all evidences of the Vedas. He is accepted by all acharyas, including Sripad Shankaracharya. But when he was present in the world, different classes of men accepted him differently, and therefore their calculations of the Lord were also different. Generally, persons who had faith in the revealed scriptures accepted the Lord as he is, and all of them merged into great bereavement when the Lord disappeared from the world. In the first canto, we have already discussed the lamentation of Arjuna and Yudhisthira, to whom the disappearance of Lord Kṛṣṇa was almost intolerable, up to the end of their lives. The Yadavas were only partially cognizant of the Lord, but they are also glorious because they had the opportunity to associate with the Lord, who acted as the head of their family. And they also rendered the Lord intimate service. The Yadavas and other devotees of the Lord are different from those who wrongly calculated him to be an ordinary human personality. Such persons are certainly bewildered by the illusory energy. They are hellish and are envious of the Supreme Lord. The illusory energy acts very powerfully on them because, in spite of their elevated mundane education, such persons are faithless and are infected by the mentality of atheism. They are always very eager to establish that Lord Kṛṣṇa was an ordinary man who was killed by a hunter due to his many impious acts in plotting to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and Jarasandha, the demoniac king of the earth. Such persons have no faith in the statement of the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is unaffected by the reactions of work. Namam karmani limpanti. According to the atheistic point of view, Lord Krishna's family, the Yadu dynasty, was vanquished due to the being cursed by Brahmanas for the sins committed by Kṛṣṇa in killing the sons of Dhritarashtra, etc. All these blasphemies do not touch the heart of the devotees of the Lord, because they know perfectly well what is what. Their intelligence regarding the Lord is never disturbed. But those who are disturbed by the statements of the Asuras are also condemned. That is what Uddhava meant in this verse. Namaste, Pradhanji. Hare Krishna. Text 11. Pradharasyatyapta tapasam avitripta drisham nirnam adyantar adhadyastu svabimbam loka lochanam. Lord Sri Krishna, who manifested his eternal form before the vision of all on the earth, performed his disappearance by removing his form from the sight of those who were unable to see him as he is, due to not executing required penance. Purport. In this verse, the word avitripta drisham is most significant. The conditioned souls in the material world are all trying to satisfy their senses in various ways, but they have failed to do so because it is impossible to be satisfied by such efforts. The example of the fish on land is very appropriate. If one takes a fish from water and puts it on land, it cannot be made happy by any amount of offered pleasure. The spirit soul can be happy only in the association of the supreme living being, the personality of Godhead, and nowhere else. The Lord, by his unlimited causeless mercy, has innumerable Vaikuntha planets in the Brahmajyoti sphere of the spiritual world. And in that transcendental world, there is an unlimited arrangement for the unlimited pleasures of the living entities. The Lord himself comes to display his transcendental pastimes, typically represented at Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka. He appears just to attract the conditioned souls back to Godhead, back home to the eternal world. But for want of sufficient piety, the onlookers are not attracted by such pastimes of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that only those who have completely surpassed the way of sinful reaction can engage themselves in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The entire Vedic way of ritualistic performances is to put every conditioned soul on the path of piety. By strict adherence to the prescribed principles for all orders of social life, one can attain the qualities of truthfulness, control of the mind, control of the senses, forbearance, etc., and can be elevated to the plane of rendering pure devotional service to the Lord. Only by such a transcendental vision are one's material hankerings fully satisfied. When the Lord was present, persons who were able to satisfy the material hankerings by seeing him in true perspective were thus able to go back with him to his kingdom. But those persons who were unable to see the Lord as he is remained attached to material hankerings and were not able to go back home, back to Godhead. When the Lord passed beyond the vision of all, he did so in his original eternal form, as stated in this verse. The Lord left in his own body. He did not leave his body as is generally misunderstood by the conditioned souls. This statement defeats the false propaganda of the faithless non-devotees that the Lord passed away like an ordinary conditioned soul. The Lord appeared in order to release the world from the undue burden of non-believing asuras, and after doing this, he disappeared from the world's eyes. And we'll stop here for today. We'll continue from text 12 on Monday. Before we end, do the devotees have any questions or comments? No? Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Navadvip Dham, Nishringapali Dham, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai.
Jai.
Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai.
Jai.
Govind Dham Giri Govardhan Dham Ki Jai.
Jai.
Sham Kund Radha Kund Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda Ki Jai. Our glories to the assembled devotees, our glories to the worldwide devotees Ki Jai. Jai Srimati Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Jai Vishwambar Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Pradhan Ki Jai. Nitya Gaura Premanandi Hari 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 Bol.
Hari Bol.
Pranams.
Kṛṣṇa Keshav Prabhu
Kṛṣṇa Keshav Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai. Hari Hari.
Jai Gurudev.